Hello and welcome to this edition of Peak Life. I'm Elizabeth Vaughn and I am here with Lieutenant Barakat from the Fire Department. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
So we're talking about a really important topic here. It is not out of the realm of possibility for us to realize that even within the city of Chesapeake, people do not have smoke alarms or they don't have functioning smoke alarms, and this can lead to very extreme circumstances. So let's jump into smoke alarms. We have some right in front of us here. Lots of different types. It can be overwhelming going to the store.
Absolutely.
And trying to pick them out. So give us a little bit of information on, how do we even pick out a smoke alarm?
Sure. So a lot of our recommendations come from the National Fire Protection Agency, the NFPA, which drives, and it's just that, it's a recommendation. So there's no requirement for these things to be in place. And they have a lot of great information, on their websites, and a lot of the material you can find on City of Chesapeake mirrors that information. So we pull from there. Of course, just like anything else, budgets come into consideration and things of that nature. And you can't always do everything that they recommend because they want you to be, this would be the ideal, safest you could possibly be ever. So we strive for that, and we encourage the citizens to strive for those as well. But we recognize that doesn't always happen. So some basic NFPA recommendations are to have a smoke detector on every level of your home. So two-level home, we want one on each level. And then in addition to that, outside the bedrooms and the hallways. And then they would like to see one inside of every bedroom that you have in your home. If that's unrealistic for you, one thing that you could consider is having a smoke detector in the bedrooms where people sleep, because those smoke alarms are going to, what we're really looking for them to do is, during the day when people are awake and people are home, ideally or more than likely you're going to see if a fire happens. So what we're really looking for is to make sure that when people are sleeping at night, is that those smoke alarms go off, wake them up, and allow them to escape, call 911. If you have to barricade in a room, we'll get into that in a few minutes, how to do that. So a couple of other things that NFPA recommends. You should check your batteries at least once a year. Now, what we encourage people to do in the city of Chesapeake is when you change your clocks, change your batteries. For such a small cost of the battery, it really makes sense to just get into that mindset of having that happen every time.
So daylight savings time, just make it a thing to go in and change those batteries. Totally change them, not just test the smoke alarm.
Correct.
You could use those batteries for something else, because if they are good.
Absolutely right. Using a device that you're not going to be, depending on for your life. Take that out, put it into something else, save them for whatever might come down the road. But those life-saving devices, if you're changing your batteries out every 6 months instead of every year, you're certainly not going to be harming yourself by doing that. The other thing that they recommend is once a month, there's a test button on all detectors. Just go up, put your hand right on that test button and give it a quick test so that you know that it's working. Wait for it to sound an alarm. A lot of people confuse the sound of a smoke detector going off with the sound that the batteries are in trouble. So if you hear a little chirp, it'll just be a very little chirp. Most of us have heard this in our lives. That's just indicating that those batteries need to be changed out.
And that usually only happens in the middle of the night when you have no idea what's going on.
That's right. You got it. Exactly right.
So pay attention for that, because that could be telling you that something's wrong with the smoke alarm.
That's correct. Yeah. And we want to make sure that you understand the difference between the chirping, so calling attention to that detector, and it actually alarming and telling you get out of the house. And when that happens isn't really the time to try to do that when you're unsure of what's going on. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's why we say stay on top of those battery changes. Now, one thing that they really have that's just a fantastic product that they have out now is they have these 10-year smoke detectors. So these don't operate on 9-volt batteries. These detectors have a battery inside that lasts for 10 years.
Wow.
So since the recommendation from NFPA is that you replace your detectors every 10 years, these simply become disposable. So you put it up and you don't have to mess with it. 10 years later, you take it back down and you throw it away. And prices vary, but we have found that the price for these is about $20 per detector, as opposed to $10 per detector for the battery-powered ones. So if you think that's going to be a problem for you, you'll probably save that money just in the lifetime of batteries by purchasing the different detector.
Absolutely. That's amazing that they have that technology now.
Yeah,
that's
great. It's just such a huge thing. If you can, again, finances always come into it, but if you can manage to even have maybe one of these in your home is a 10-year and the rest of the ones you get battery powered, these are really, this is going to ensure that you never have to worry about that battery.
That's a great suggestion.
So couple different things on smoke detectors that we kind of do want to get into is, what kinds? Well,
Yeah.
When you go to the store, like you said, there's so many different kinds on the shelves. Some people take detectors out, they notice that there's wires sticking out of their ceiling, and they're unsure as to what those wires go to. Well, when that house was built, those detectors were wired in. So basically, when one goes off, it sets off the detectors in all of the home, the entire house. Yeah. Versus if you get a single one and you put it up on the wall, smoke detects on that one, and just that detector will go off. Well, if that goes off downstairs and you're sleeping upstairs, it's not going to be till that smoke crawls all the way up to that next detector and activates it. Whereas those home wired ones, the one goes off downstairs, it sets all of them off simultaneously.
Which is probably what you prefer. I mean,
it is, but if you're buying these and you don't have a home that's been wired that way, you don't have the option of really doing that unless you hire an electrician to come in and wire your whole home up like that. So most of us just buy the single ones that go up on the wall and they protect it. And that's completely fine. We want to encourage people to have that. Can you replace a detector that you take down and it has wires plugged into the back of it with one that doesn't? Yes, you can, but it's not going to alarm in the same way. That's going to cause a fault in that system, so to speak. So you can buy ones, probably a little bit more expensive, that do have that plug that will allow you to do that. Placement's another big piece. So we don't want to have detectors, as odd as it sounds, in the kitchen. And that seems unusual because you would think that that's more than likely where that's going to happen. Well, the general rule is 10 feet away from a cooking appliance. And the reason for that, we want to eliminate false alarms. So many of us cook and steam or even a little bit of smoke.
I have one in my kitchen, and that's a good point. I mean, it's going off all the time, and then I'm like pulling it down, putting it outside, probably forgetting about it. You know, I mean, you don't want to do that.
Taking those batteries out, and then when it comes to it, I mean, life gets busy and we forget to do those pieces. So we want to eliminate, try not to have those in the kitchen or at least 10 feet away from those cooking appliances to eliminate those false alarms. Same things with bathrooms. Some of these detectors, whether you get photoelectric or an ionization type, and again, those types, it depends on what your needs are, so you'd want to research that and choose what works best for you. But those detectors pick up different size beads of smoke or even steam. So sometimes if you have them in your bathroom, they'll go off because you're showering and the steam gets in front of the sensor and it causes it to go off. So don't put those things in there. Put it just outside the bathroom. It's still going to be just as good for an alarming purpose. If you had a fire in the bathroom, as soon as it comes outside, it's going to pick that detector up and activate. So.
And then, you were saying that they place high up.
Correct.
On the wall. Why is that? The wall or the ceiling?
Yep. I mean, so smoke rises. So if you've ever been into any kind of a smoky environment, you'll notice that the heaviest smoke is at the top and the area down bottom is where you have the most visibility, which is why we tell you if you ever are crawling around in smoke, get on the ground, stay as low to the ground as you can, because that's going to be the most survivable area of the home is down low. So we do place those up top for early detection. And you bring up another great point. You don't want them in the corner of your walls. So separate out about 3 feet from the corner of the wall, from the corner of your wall on your ceiling. Or if you're going to put it on your wall, come 3 feet down from the ceiling. The reason why is that arc where the ceiling and the wall meet creates a void space. So smoke will actually rise up and miss that little spot right there. So we want to avoid that because we want to obviously make sure that these things are activating and alerting you in time. So what we brought with us today are just a couple of other kinds. So we talked about the battery powered and the 10-year life one. They also make detectors like this that are for hearing impaired. Okay, so obviously this is a concern that if a fire happens at night and you have a hearing impaired person, how will they be notified? Well, this emits light. So that light will ideally, hopefully wake you up. It also alarms, but it will hopefully wake you up. It's a very bright light. Significant cost increase to purchase these, but again, it's all based on the needs that you have, for your home. So with that being said, we'll kind of move on to just, we brought a carbon monoxide detector with us.
Let's talk about that real quick. So carbon monoxide has nothing to do with fire, has something to do with fire? I mean, why do we even connect them?
So the definition of carbon monoxide is just an incomplete product of combustion. So what does that mean exactly? All right, well, it's confusing, right? So it essentially is any gas-fired appliance that you have, wood-burning fireplace, coal-burning, whatever, anything like that that uses some type of gas has a flame, has the potential to create carbon monoxide in dangerous doses. If those systems aren't operating properly, if your vent's not open all the way on your chimney, those gases will leak into the house. Carbon monoxide is especially dangerous because it's odorless, it's tasteless, it's colorless. So you will not know that you're being affected by that until oftentimes you start showing symptoms like headaches and things of that nature. So these detectors right here pick that gas up. They'll alarm, they'll show a number on them. So you leave them plugged in, ideally in a room kind of close to whatever appliance that you're looking for. If you need to have multiple, because you have multiple appliances, then absolutely do that. And they'll alarm, and when they do, you should call 911.
Okay.
Call 911, allow the fire department to come in. They have meters and detectors that will be able to pinpoint, and we'll remedy that situation for you before we leave. If you've got a buildup of gases in your house, we'll ventilate that space so that we're leaving you worry-free when we go. Like anything else, follow the manufacturer's recommendations on there. There's a replacement schedule that should be done. They're battery powered, or they also have plug right into an outlet. And because carbon monoxide is kind of a gas that has a weight about the same as ambient air, they don't have to be placed on the ceiling or on the floor. There's not as much of a factor, with that. Ideally, I think they say you should place them about 4 feet high. Okay. Of course, who has an outlet 4 feet high in their house? But so a lot of times we just plug them in. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So this is life-saving stuff that we're talking about. Yes, there is a cost to it, but I mean, we're talking about saving your life, and we've seen that firsthand here in Chesapeake. That if only there were smoke alarms, if only they were functioning, we could have had some lives saved.
Yeah.
So this is super important stuff. All right, we're going to go to the store, see what they have, maybe get that 10-year. If not, we'll get the other ones, which we will replace regularly, test regularly, check the batteries. We're going to be real careful here, Lieutenant.
That's right.
Thank you so much for all this information.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. Well, that's it for this edition of Peak Life. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.